Welcome back to our kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to clean, sear and roast a beef tenderloin to get that nice perfect pink in the middle of it. We have our beef tenderloin here. It has a chain on it and some silver skin, and we're going to remove all that and use it when we roast our beef tenderloin. And I also want to teach you and explain to you about rich beef sauces and maintaining and getting that rich beef stock that we need to get that restaurant sauce, that restaurant rich sauce that you pay so much money for. Anyway, I'm going to start with the tenderloin and I'll show you how to butcher this and get it ready for roasting. So the beef tenderloin has a chain on it and it runs the full length down one side. You need to cut just into the side and release the chain and going underneath the skin. Most cases it will pull away on its own where it needs to. And you'll follow it up to the end of the tenderloin. When you reach this point, you want to just cut straight down through. And on this chain, just at the top end of the tenderloin, you're going to find a nice fillet here which is full of meat. And that's great for stir fries, things like that. You can actually butterfly it, turn it into small steaks for your barbecue. And that little eye fillet just lives right here on the end. You can save that and make a little steak sandwich with it, or like I said, a small stir fry. That's all tenderloin meat. The rest of the eye fillet, I'm just going to cut it up, place it in our roasting pan, and get all the flavor out of that for that rich sauce that we told you about. Now the top layer of your tenderloin above the silver skin will just pull off, and you can go and pull that all the way down and you'll free up the tail meat and everything. Basically we're cutting away any surface fat and silver skin from the tenderloin. The top end of the tenderloin here, the silver skin actually hides away underneath. I take the end of my butcher's knife and I run it across the top of the silver skin until we find the bottom of where it joins the eye, the muscle on the side. Then we want to just nip our knife under the silver skin and keep it below the surface, so you only take the silver skin off and not the extra meat. We take that back and then we just run our knife pointing it upwards against the silver skin and take it all the way down. And when you turn it upside down, you should just have silver skin and very little meat. You want to leave the meat on the tenderloin. I'll just continue to do this until it's completely clean. We're going to turn the beef tenderloin over and you'll still find pieces of silver skin and random pieces of fat that you just remove. Some of it will pull away easy, other parts will not. Now underneath you're going to find a layer of fat under here. You just want to, like the silver skin, just take it away. I like to leave a little bit in there. It helps with the cooking process and flavors the meat. The pieces at the bottom just pull away. This one is pretty good. It doesn't have a lot of lumps of fat. Most of the time you'll find them here where it hangs onto the rib, and you can just pull those away. But there's our beef tenderloin. It's ready for roasting. I'll sear it and show you how to do that. So we have our beef tenderloin cleaned. I'm going to sear it on our flat grill. You could use your barbecue grill outside, and we're going to sear all the meats in. So what we're going to do is just season front and back with salt and pepper. I'm just going to add a little oil to our grill. Not too much, because we want some nice color on this as well. I'm going to sear in all those juices before we put it in the oven. What you're looking for is a beautiful color on the meat. You're going to sear in the juices and maintain that color even for serving later. So when working with a beef tenderloin, we've turned it twice. So essentially you're going to work with 3 sides that you need to sear. I'm just going to turn it over and finish that 3rd side and sear it before we put it in the oven. So seared our beef. Now what we're going to do is I'll put all the beef scraps underneath a cake rack. So we're going to elevate the beef tenderloin above our scraps. We want to also roast the offcuts to get the maximum flavor out of everything for a great sauce later on. I'm going to place it on our beef rack. And we're going to place this in the oven at 350 degrees and bring it to an internal temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So the tenderloin has been in at the moment 15 minutes. What we want to do is just turn it over and rotate it around. I have a digital thermometer which I like to use. We're just going to check its internal temperature for now. And it did tell me 93. So we're going to bring this to an internal temperature of 120. And then we'll be finishing it by letting it rest in the oven for 10 minutes before we cut it. So the beef has been in, it's around 25 to 30 minutes. We're just checking the internal temperature now. And it's reached 120, even 122. So it's done. What I'm going to do now is turn the oven off and let the beef just rest for 10 minutes. That'll help it relax before we carve it. So the beef tenderloin is done. It's been resting for 10 minutes. We have mashed potatoes, some horseradish mashed potato that we made earlier in another video. The beef tenderloin, it should be pink after this cooking process. And time to rest means it's had time to relax. We love it with our horseradish mashed potatoes. And I have a little sauce that I made earlier that I use, saving all the beautiful beef flavor out of the roasting pan. I want to show you how to save that here in a sec. But there's our beautiful roasted beef tenderloin, horseradish mashed potatoes, and that's how you do it. What I'd like to explain now is the beef scraps from the beef tenderloin. We placed it under the rack, under the beef tenderloin, to roast them, get the fat out of it, brown it, and in a restaurant you can spend days, literally 2 days, to make a rich beef demi through reduction of beef bones that are roasted, roasting tomato paste until it's dark. That's called a pinçage. What I want to do is let you see how you can get the same results in your home every time you roast a joint of meat, a roast chicken, some pork ribs. The water that comes out of it is the natural flavor of the meat and the bones. So we're going to take now the scraps from our beef tray, and we want to put those into a pot because they've darkened up lovely. But all this dark flavor and color from the bottom of the pan, you want to add like a cup of boiling water to the pan and just get a spatula, wooden spoon, and scrape all that beautiful dark color out of the pan. And that's the dark color of flavor and everything that you're going to get. We're going to bring this to the boil for 5 minutes with the lid on and get as much flavor out of those scraps of meat as we can. Then we're going to place it in a container to cool down and refrigerate. And what's going to happen is you will separate the fat from the liquid beef stock or your sauce, your rich sauce. And after it's been in the fridge, we'll show you that you can remove that fat, maintain the gravy, this rich sauce, put that in a Ziploc or a container, and just use that every time you have a chicken breast or roast beef, etc. And that just becomes your restaurant style sauce. It's not hard to do. So using a harder wooden spoon, we're going to press down and take all the color out off the bottom of the pan. That's all flavor. And you want to try and get it all out of there. The more you get out, the darker your sauce is going to be. And just for a short bit of work, you could really going to appreciate the flavor that you can save instead of it going into the trash can. So we have it all in there. We're just going to place the lid on this and bring it to the boil and steep it with the lid on for about 5 minutes. Our beef scraps from the beef tenderloin have been boiling with the lid on for 5 minutes. Basically, we are going to just drain off that liquid, and it will be a mixture of both rich beef broth and fat from the meat products. We're just going to strain it through a strainer into our container just to get rid of any little bits that we don't want in our sauce or in our beef stock later on. I push down on the meat, just releasing the juices as well to make sure we've got it all out. And now what's going to happen is naturally the fat will float on top of the water. We'll let that cool. We'll refrigerate it until the fat solidifies. We'll remove that and you'll see the rich brown gravy that's underneath that you can use for your future roast beef dinners, chicken dinners, anything. But that's how we'll be able to get a restaurant rich, flavorful sauce every time you cook something. We placed our beef stock and the fat in the refrigerator to congeal, and the fat has separated itself from the rich stock. So all you want to do now is basically break the fat away from the stock and separate it out. And basically all you'll be left with is beef stock that is rich in flavor. There is no preservatives, no added flavorings like you would a packet mix from the supermarket. But just from this basic exercise, you can get your restaurant rich sauce by saving all that brown roast flavor from the bottom of your roasting pan, whether you're roasting a chicken, a joint of meat, a shoulder that has a bone in it, ribs. Even if you do a roast chicken and at the end of it you save it and you always find that jelly from the stock in the bottom of the roasting pan, you always want to save that, and you can put it in ice cubes. You can to freeze it and portion it and just have that available in small portions to add to a steak or anything that you want in the future. But it's a great way to get that restaurant style sauce, rich in flavor, and it's better than going in the trash can. So there's a nice little tip for you. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you take advantage of it. And we'll see you next time when we learn something new.